It can be daunting when starting out in a new medium. There are so many colours and lots of terminology which can be confusing. Basically, watercolours are powdered pigments and a binder, usually gum arabic. Sometimes manufacturers add an additional ingredient like honey to enhance the characteristics of the paint. The key ingredient when painting with watercolour is water. You will use plenty of water to create light washes and build up colour. Watercolour paints are available in tubes, half pan and full pans. And you can get an intense concentrated watercolour in a bottle. Watercolours are supplied in metal tubes that can vary from 21mm to small 5mm tubes. Pans can be baked or liquid poured. You can make your own pans by squeezing some paint from a tube into an empty pan. This is ideal for making your own travel sets. Watercolours are available in artist quality or student quality. Artist quality have a greater pigment load in ratio to the binder, offering a greater pigment strength and quality of paint. An artist quality paint range will contain some paints which contain expensive pigments, single pigment colours and genuine pigments. They have a higher light fast rating and a larger colour range. Student quality is the less expensive option, with a lower pigment to binder ratio. Some of the more expensive pigments are replaced with less expensive alternatives to keep the cost down. Let's look at the information on the label of a watercolour paint. As it is here, you can get a lot of information about the paint before you start painting. The name of the paint. This can be the colour description of the pigment used, like cadmium red, or a little more creative, like sunset orange. Pigments. These can be either the name of the pigment or the pigment colour index number. The colour index number usually starts with a P for pigment, followed by the colour. If the pigment is blue, it's PB, and then there's a number at the end. So French ultramarine is PB29, so pigment blue 29. Series. Paints are usually priced according to the pigments used, with some being more expensive than others. The higher the series number, then the higher the cost of the pigment used. The transparency of a paint. Watercolour paints can be grouped into 4 groups of transparency, from transparent, semi-transparent, semi-opaque to opaque. Transparent colours allow the colour underneath to show through, whereas opaque colours are covering. Some manufacturers will also indicate whether the colour is staining. Staining colours are those colours which are harder to lift once they're put on the paper. Some manufacturers will also indicate whether the pigment is a granulating colour. You will notice that some pigments are prone to looking speckly and grainy. These are granulating colours. Light fast or permanent ratings. These are scales used to measure how fast a colour will fade in natural light. Some manufacturers will use light fast ratings only. Some will use permanent ratings, others will use both. Using white. The whiteness of the paper is used as the white, but sometimes you can use an opaque white or a gouache just to add those little highlights that may have been lost. It can often be very intimidating by the range of colours from all the manufacturers. A basic palette will usually contain 2 reds, 2 blues and 2 yellows. A warm and cold version of each colour.